it's not just like trauma dumping for the sake of trauma dumping, but it's like I'm not the only person who is affected like this.
Yeah.
Like there are so many people like me
Forget that.
who like didn't get sick or whatever, and I have my vaccines, I didn't get sick and all that, but like there's this like invisible layer of other people who are being affected by people making stupid choices.
Yeah.
There's like a whole other layer.
Yeah.
It's the Casey and Zoe thing.
And I get that, everyday stoners, and you know we are pro-vaccine, and as we've discussed, you know we think there is an issue with a lot of liberals and leftists not addressing the bodily autonomy issue in vaccines.
Look, I give anyone the choice to not get a vaccine if you don't want to. Don't.
I think it has to be voluntary. I don't think you can mandate it.
But
and I wish a bunch of dummy pundit jerks hadn't spread misinformation that made people more scared.
Well, yeah. To finish, what my thought was no, it's okay. Was if you're not gonna get a vaccine, don't be a dick. Just stay home. Don't get a vaccine? Stay in your house. I'm not going to stop you.
Yes.
Stay home. Don't go out.
Though it's also an issue of capitalism.
Well, yeah, you have to go out.
In a perfect world, or in a healthy world, I think you would be able to say, like, hey, obviously, if you don't want to do it, that's your bodily autonomy, and we will support you staying home for, you know, as long as, you know, whatever. And, because it's there's so many layers to it under our current systems. And bodily autonomy has to be protected.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just like, I get upset that, like, these conversations, like, make make me so upset, but it's just like, we're at a time in our history where, like, there's no room to not be upset anymore. Like, I exercised so much patience for so long with this shit, and it was like watching the presidential debates was like a fucking sports game. It was so weird.
Yeah.
And everyone was like, oh, we won this one, oh, we lost this one. I'm like, this isn't just like winning and losing, like people's rights are at stake. And it sucks because like so many of these conversations about like having fun watching the debates were with like white people with money.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, for you guys, this is a little thing that isn't going to change your life that much.
Yeah.
That there are a lot of people whose lives this changes a lot every time someone loses a debate.
Yeah.
And, like, it's not funny.
Yeah.
It's not fun. It's not funny. It's not cool. It sucks. And, like, it feels like it makes me feel very unseen as a person and not understood when people are like, well, why can't you just get along with everyone? Like, well, why can't everyone just get along with me?
Right, exactly. Because that's the thing, is that the right-wingers started all these fights.
These are, yeah, I didn't start any of this shit. Or not, I'm saying but like, we did.
Being gay is not starting a social fight. It's the like, right-wingers who said, like, you can't be gay, that would make God mad. That's where it started. That's what it's
happened.
So they are the aggressors. And so to get mad at that and go like, no, fuck you, how dare you suggest that I don't have a right to live my life the way I want to live it, that's not the same. You know, punching someone after they punched you is not the same, morally speaking.
As punching someone first.
Now there are discussions to be had about, you know, like obviously the cycle of violence and the dangers there, and yeah, to pretend that defense against an attack is the same as an attack, not true.
Yeah.
Well, yes, and yeah, Dad. If only it was, and if only it was cut and dry. If only it was like people who don't support the communal health. Unfortunately, it's like people who are super supportive of communal health and then die because of the variants as well. Yeah, it's just a huge mess.
Yeah, I don't know. I think everyone should make the choice to get vaccinated, and if you're not making that choice, I mean, that's your choice, but
yeah. And also, like, you know, speaking to the politeness issue, the question, I've had that. A big part of my beliefs is also rooted in like personal experience. Of like, for one example, you know, I was super diplomatic with my landlords for years about everything, you know, and like I wouldn't report, like I do little repairs myself. I like, you know, I would, and like I text the building manager all like, hey, you know, don't want to bother you, but if you could please,
Yeah.
you know, and got treated like shit
Yeah.
for years. When I was paying rent totally on time for years and years, and then when I went through a rough financial period where I was late with rent quite a bit, I was treated even more like shit. And then, funny enough, the day I started writing ruthless,
Yeah.
insulting emails, suddenly they started doing everything correctly.
Like fixing your broken house.
Fixing things, and you know, and they're still terrible, and they've still like you know, tried to fuck me in many ways, and endanger their tenants regularly, and like I'm getting into this boss battle, and like yeah, you know, sometimes drawing a hard line with people is the only thing that will get results. And I wish it'd have to be like that. I wish there was no institution of landlording, and then it wouldn't even be a thing. But yeah, rich people tend to be not nice.
Rich people are horrible. And I know I've had a lot of conversations with like, but you want $1 million. There's a fucking difference between $1 million and $1 billion. Like a huge difference,
Yeah.
like a ridiculous difference. And when I'm talking about rich people, I'm not talking about someone who can afford to live super comfortably and go out for dinner every night. I'm talking about people who own the world.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by rich people. When I say eat the rich,
Wealthy.
I mean the
Yeah.
very wealthy,
Super rich.
super rich monsters. Those
Yeah.
are the rich people. I don't care if some guy has like 20 million bucks. Go ahead, go off, have fun.
Yeah.
Ah.
And I totally feel you, Mark, and it's horrible that happened. And I think the only way to get around the issue of bodily autonomy rights is that people have to be better educated.
Well, yeah. With the lack of misinformation, a lot of those people that didn't get vaccinated would have.
Yeah, I think if there had been an attempt at a mandate, I think there would have been like bad things would have happened. I think right wing. Not that I don't want to live in fear of right wingers' bad behavior reactions per se, and I do think there is a line. I mean, the thing is, like, before all this pandemic shit, like, I think it was like with the the older traditional vaccines, like 97% of people are vaccinated. So, like, clearly it's possible without a mandate and just with educated understanding. The issue at play here in the pandemic, I don't think was a lack of a mandate, but rather a horrific, toxic abundance of misinformation.
Well, also, everybody's like, body autonomy! I'm sorry, babies aren't infectious diseases. It's
Right.
apples and oranges.
Yeah, that too.
I wouldn't hate a vaccine mandate. Am I gonna, like, say, like, you must have vaccine mandate? No. But, like, that's different. Yeah, I can't give
If-
you a baby.
Yeah, that is different. That is a
I
good
can't,
distinction to make.
baby
Absolutely.
is not contagious.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
So when
Absolutely.
so it's actually my body autonomy that's getting sacrificed by someone else's choice now. So
Well,
now
yes.
it involves me.
And that's where stuff gets wiggly with vaccines, because it's like, what about an individual's right to not live in disease world,
Right, exactly.
There is a bodily autonomy issue there as well. I mean,
Your
this is,
choice not to have a baby does not affect me at all.
yeah, this is not cut and dry stuff, unfortunately. If only it were.
And it's just like when especially people on the right like use the body autonomy thing is about, well, what about my body, my choice? It just seems like a lack of understanding of what that means.
Yeah. And why, again, like go to even bigger picture, like why we need a spiritual revolution as a species. We just need to be more spiritually evolved, so that we can do all these smart, rational things voluntarily without needing fucking laws to tell us. Because it's just shit that makes sense.
But anyways, I like SpongeBob.
I get it, Mark. And I totally. I mean, obviously, I can't. I can't know what it. I can't imagine what that is like for you. And I don't blame you. Obviously, it's horrible.
Well, yeah. Fox also. Fuck my asshole. Fox also mentioned that she got. Like her body was affected by people choosing not to get vaccinated, and yeah, I mean that's when maybe you can't get a lot of them due to allergies because that's the thing.
Another good point, Replica Fox. Like, yeah, there's the vaccine issue is not simple and would be best handled with hyper thoughtful, hyper educated, and hyper nuanced policy, and just procedure. Like, we shouldn't even need policy. We should have a global council of doctors who just tell us, here are the things you should do, and we just do them. Like, that is the best thing, I think. And we need, and it's like people have to. I think it has to be voluntary when it comes to putting stuff in your body. Hell yeah, Dad.
Have fun making
Party.
20
Love you
million
too.
bucks. Love you too. Happy belated birthday.
Yes. Happy shortly after your birthday. Yeah, that sucks, Replica Fox. Like... It's like the only solution is thoughtful case by case analysis, which is just something that humans at large seem to not be very good at.
And because of that, I don't not support a mandate.
Right.
Like, I'm not going to say that that's my pure stance because, of course, there's the body autonomy argument. But if someone said we're mandating vaccines, I'd say great, go for it.
And like if they said they were doing it and it was like a special magic situation where definitely that mandate would work.
Yeah.
And there wouldn't be like militia rebellions or whatever.
Right.
Then I probably too would be like, okay, yeah. Because I do think that's the best thing for everyone's overall health, probably. Mm-hmm. But obviously, except for cases like Fox, where, there's a medical issue where it's like the vaccine represents a real medical threat.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but again, like, what has to happen is you have to be able to have people who can look at who can look at an individual situation like Fox's and get like, oh, this is unique.
Well, yeah, no, Fox is the only exception.
Right. Well, but there are a lot that she's not, though. That's the point.
What I'm saying is in principle,
right.
People who have allergies or who are sick or who have some reason or who
where it would be worse for their health,
would make it worse is the
Yes.
exception. So I mean, as a small part of a whole, that's an exception. But if it's a person who is able to and refusing to, there's no reason not to. There's none.
Well,
I can't see it.
I get no, and I mean, like, well, like, what would you think about, like, if there's someone who like lives alone in an igloo in the middle of nowhere?
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
live alone in
and I don't mean to be pedantic. I'm not trying to gotcha you. I'm just trying to point to how nuanced it is.
Yeah.
And that there are probably exceptions we can't think of, but if we met that individual person, if they came in our chat, and told their story, we would get the moral context.
Yeah.
Sorry if I'm distracting from your battle.
No, it's okay. I just keep fucking... But I don't know why this is not a hard battle. I keep losing. Yeah, facts. And I just want to make sure I'm very clear that, like, I always have, like, people's health in the forefront of my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And the greatest thing for people's health is that those who are willing and able get vaccinated. Or not willing. Those who are able get vaccinated.
Right.
And those who are not willing, that's a choice. And 9 times out of 10, those choices are made because of misinformation. And the other 1 time out of 10, it might be fear for whatever other reason or for whatever outstanding circumstance or whatever.
Well, and I think the other thing that has to be acknowledged is if there was a true across-the-board mandate for every person who didn't have a clear, diagnosable today issue that shows it would hurt their health, people would die.
Yeah.
Lots of people. And I'm just saying, lots of people would die, and that, like, for those individuals, the greater good would mean nothing.
Yeah.
I just think it's worth remembering that.
Yes, and I also, like, have... Yeah.
You
sure.
know.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And I don't disagree with, you know, I'm just...
No, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm just trying to put my words together.
Yeah.
It's just, like, such a sore fucking topic to me because I'm so fucking tired of seeing people die from COVID. I'm fucking tired of it.
I get it. It's
and
horrific.
I'm fucking tired of stupid dumbasses refusing to do something so easy
Yeah.
and watching people I know and love die when they could have not died. And yes, I understand vaccines. There would also be some deaths.
Yeah.
You're saying a big number, but I guess big in the terms of, like, if it was a classroom full of people, those 15, 20, 30, maybe a couple hundred.
I mean, I think from the hard science numbers that are out there, it would be a lot of, it would be thousands and thousands. Perhaps,
I don't
you
know
know.
about that, but yeah, sure. It's thousands and thousands, yes. And you know what would help that? Free fucking healthcare.
And also, if you don't count just death, but people who would have some unexpected adverse reaction.
Yeah, adverse reaction.
Those things do
Yes, they
happen.
happen.
And so I just want to be compassionate to, like, if you were a parent living under that mandate and one of your children got sick and died because of some unforeseen issue, maybe even something like what Fox is dealing with, but that hadn't been properly diagnosed before the mandate, then you just have a dead kid, that person.
Yeah, I know, and it sucks, and I don't want to be like, oh, vaccines are great, and then be
Right.
like, but those people don't matter.
Well, 'cause-
It's not, yeah, I get it. It's
Yeah.
nuanced, and it's like, it is such an emotional topic.
I get
because
it,
that
yeah.
the majority of people are making a choice, and
I
that's
get
who I'm
it.
talking to.
I get it.
It's just like, I'm so tired of seeing people I know and love die
Yeah.
because of other people's stupid choices.
Well, yeah, and again, Everyday Stoners just pointed out, just shared, and thank you for sharing your story, Everyday Stoners, that you had a friend pass away in quarantine from, like, depression, like isolation-related
that's huge,
depression.
too.
You know, like, that there are, you know, lots of different kinds of people in the world, and I just always want to be careful that I'm not making an argument similar to the one made by many right-wingers early in the pandemic of, like, it's a 99% survival rate.
Yeah, and
You know?
that's not necessarily the argument I'm trying to make either.
I'm not saying it's the argument you're trying to make. I'm saying I'm always very wary of anything that even gets near that. And I always just want to speak to that nuance.
Yeah, you're better
know?
at speaking to the nuance than I am. I'm just fucking mad.
And I get it, and you have every right to be mad. And
Yeah.
your anger is valid, and I support you. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's just like I care so deeply about people that would be affected on both ends of the spectrum, and I also know people who have killed themselves in quarantine.
Yeah, and why
I was almost
yeah.
one of them.
And why
I get it.
Yeah, and I, like, agree with your position. And to me, the moral argument is a matter of moral mathematics.
Yes.
Of, like, more people will die from the virus and the lack of vaccination than could ever die or be just adversely health affected by the vaccine. So by that simple calculus, I think the morally right position is if you can get a vaccine, get one.
That's
Totally.
that's it. That's
I
what I'm
agree with
saying.
you there. I
If
don't-
You can get one,
yeah.
and it's not going to kill you. It's not going to hurt you.
Yeah.
Get one. And
Yes.
if you can't, don't. And like
And if something horrible happens unexpectedly, that is a tragedy. And 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 I think the greater good, yes, is worth it there.
I think I'm just getting like extra emotional about this
Yeah.
right now because of how difficult these last 2 fucking years have been.
Yes.
And they didn't have to be 2. It did not have to be 2 years.
Yes.
It
Yes.
didn't.
I totally
And like
get that.
part of why it's been 2 years, like I'm just gonna get really vulnerable
Go for
a
it, be
second here, but like
vulnerable,
these last 2
yeah.
years were so fucking bad.
Yeah.
Like the worst, like so bad. And I opened up to Casey
Mm-hmm.
recently about like where I have been recently, like and like my ex leaving me was like a catalyst for that. It wasn't really about her, it was about this last 2 years, and just like people making these stupid horrible decisions. And like I was not okay, like I was very much not okay. Like I'm thankful for being here today, and like I hate people that talk about shit like this all the time, but like I was not okay, and I was not gonna be okay. I was on like watch, like my therapist was watching me. Like I was not okay. And so many other people were going through the same thing. And when people make conscious choices that affect the length of something that's going on that is really fucking some people up, those conscious choices are not just affecting the virus mutating, it's not just affecting, more people getting sick and dying, it's also affecting the people who are stuck at home and are not okay. Like, it's like there is so much nuance, yes, and also like there is a right answer and most people can make that right choice. And if those most people made that right choice, we would not still be in the situation that we are in.
Yeah.
If the people who had the choice made the choice, things would be different. And if things were different, a lot of people who are like me would be okay. And it took me years to become okay. And like, I cannot stress enough how difficult it was to, like, the first 2 weeks of the pandemic was horrible. I drank probably a bottle of vodka every day. I did a bunch of drugs. And I'd been essentially sober before that. And like, it was just that for 2 years. It was not okay. And just like, and it got more not okay and more not okay and more not okay. And the longer it went, and now it's like difficult for me to even like go out and get food. Like I get, I get delivery all the time. I don't even like want to walk out the door. And like the psychological damage this has caused to so many people is just as insane as the physical damage and the amount of people that are dying. And it's just like, it's not a hard choice to make. And the fact that there is misinformation out there, in such like large quantities is what really radicalized me. That on top of like the BLM movement, really coming to the forefront, like those two things is what radicalized me. Those two things is what made me feel so politically inclined, because there should not be access to this level of misinformation in the world. It shouldn't exist. And I will do whatever I can to make sure that nobody ever feels like I did during the pandemic. And I want to make sure that nobody ever feels like they're losing their family and they can't spend holidays with their family anymore. And I want to make sure all this thing happens. Like, people will be better and happier if we just stop fucking lying.
Yeah.
That is what I needed to say. That's why I was getting very heated. I feel better.
Good.
Thanks
for sharing.
The whole conversation about it, like, there's just so much to be said. And I just love people. And I'm happy to be alive, living in the world. I think the trees and the sky and the birds are all beautiful. I'm glad to be here. And I know so many people who aren't glad to be here still. And I feel so bad for those people, and I empathize with them. And like, this world can be really shitty, and I blame Republicans. Anyway, I really do.
Got it. And I wanted to go back to what you said of like, just so much of it just comes down to lying. Like,
it's lying.
And most of the people who don't want to get a vaccine, they're not lying. They're not snake oil salesmen. They honestly believe that it's like gonna make them Bill Gates's slave.
Yeah.
Honestly. So like like I totally feel you. And it also is it's so easy to lose sight of the psychological impact.
It's not
in
been
the
good.
face of the the death tolls.
Yeah. I mean,
or the long COVID numbers.
Yeah,
and these
absolutely.
it should all be looked at. All should be addressed. And the psychological impact is so much more invisible.
It is, and then obviously I can only speak for myself, but I know a lot of people who have shared that they have very similar experiences to me, and like, I am not me. I haven't been me for 2 years.
Yeah.
And like, I'm still doing everything I possibly can to get some semblance of myself back. And like, this show has been great, and I just want to extend like so much appreciation for you guys that are here right now.
Yeah, thanks
and
everybody.
Casey, obviously, who like saved my life this summer.
I'm so glad I could help.
Like you guys, I'm so thankful for you, and like it's been great like building a community again in a place that feels really safe, because it's also just like we're all over the place.
Yeah. Global community.
A global community. It's really awesome, and I love it, and I love you guys very much. But it's just like, I don't know how my brain works anymore.
Yeah, and to be clear,
I don't know who I am anymore.
Got it. And to be clear, and I think I'm speaking for everyone in chat when I say this, like, you know, this is a space for you to express yourself like this.
Yeah, if you guys ever feel like this too, absolutely.
Oh yeah, and that, you know, you don't, you know, I felt, and this just was my perception, but I felt a little bit of maybe something in your space before of like trying to keep your cool.
Oh no, 100%. That's why I was getting mad.
Yeah.
I only get mad when I'm trying to keep I don't actually feel anger. I get mad when I'm trying to not talk.
So I just want to let you know that you don't have to keep your cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
That's
what's
okay.
the point? There's no point except for
Well, it just doesn't,
for looks.
Doesn't really help.
Who cares?
It doesn't really work.
Who cares?
That's what counts.
Yeah, I know. I love you guys very much, and thanks for being here and doing this show, and thanks to Casey for being a good brother and protecting me this summer. When I came and I didn't fly, I drove. When I drove over here to escape my brain.
Yeah. And yeah, and there's been a lot of, I think, great stuff being shared in the chat, but I obviously was very much listening to Zoe just now.
Well, and also my mom's here, and I just want to extend I'm gonna cry. I just want to send a lot of gratitude toward mom and dad too.
Yeah.
Because they also were like fucking watching me.
Me
and,
too.
Like, I really appreciate it.
I'm super grateful to Dad and Elise that they were there for you. And did so much to help you through this.
Yeah, I think the point is not like it's not just like trauma dumping for the sake of trauma dumping, but it's like I'm not the only person who is affected like this.
Yeah.
Like there are so many people like me.
Forget that.
Who like didn't get sick or whatever, and I have my vaccines, I didn't get sick and all that, but like there's this like invisible layer of other people who are being affected by people making stupid choices.
Yeah.
There's like a whole other layer.
Yeah.
And
And forget that trauma dumping term. You can just talk about stuff that you're thinking and feeling.
Yeah. But anyway. Anyways, Kingdom Hearts, I'm still dying.
Well, yeah, and that's why I noticed the chat from Everyday Stoners about having to do delivery throughout the pandemic.
I can't imagine
insane.
how horrible
like,
that must have been.
Well, and speaking to someone who was driving Lyft for like a year and 8 months before the pandemic, and then I started a new job on a TV show 2 weeks before the pandemic started, and we all had to go start working from home. And so, that's something for me that I try to stay aware of, is that like I think I'm very privileged in how the pandemic and the procedures impacted me. Yeah. Because for me, lockdown, stay in your house, like it was a little, it was a bit of a, like it kind of sucked to get this like job on a TV show. I was a writer's PA on In the Dark on the CW, and it was definitely kind of shitty to get this job on a show, and then like 2 weeks in, it's like, oh, actually, the world is ending. That definitely I did not like, and because I just spent like a year and 8 months driving Lyft, like 10, 12-hour days, and just being miserable and hating my life. The thing of like, well, now you have to go hang out at home Like I'm a pretty reclusive guy.
You are not me.
I am not. So yeah, Zoe and I.
Not me.
Zoe and I are very similar in many ways,
Not
but this
that.
is one where we're like super different.
Yeah.
I love hanging out at home. I want my buddies to come over.
Yeah,
you
they
know?
invite you over, and you're like, why not here?
Yeah. I want my buddies to come hang out, like here on the Casey and Zoe thing.
Yeah.
But like, I'm just like, oh, home, yeah. Like, I'm a big fan of home. I'm a big fan of like watching stuff and playing games. So for me it was like I had to keep checking myself. I feel of like not being being more compassionate to people like you who didn't like, or also people who who I thought were their reasons for wanting to get out were silly, or like, well, I need a haircut.
Yeah, well, those people can suck my ass.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and so but I was like, I try to, even though I'm not afraid to tell someone who I don't like or strongly disagree with to like fuck themselves. I also am very much about empathy and remaining, keeping the compassion in the space as well, making room for both to say like, I love you Republicans and fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Like both things. I love humans. I want I don't think you can be a sincere leftist without some kind of innate love for people. Or else, why are you doing it? Why are you speaking up for that, if not to make life better for humans? So I love people, and I want to remain compassionate. Of like, well, part of why I wasn't concerned about being able to go out and get a haircut was not just my reclusiveness, but also something else we can all see in the video right now, like. It's easy for me to say, like, fuck a barber.
Yeah.
So even something like that I still think was silly, like, was not worth what, to me, was putting more lives at risk.
Yeah.
I think the best thing for, like, human life preservation would have been a procedure similar to, a lot of European countries, of, like, a very, very strict lockdown right out of the gate.
Yeah.
I think would have saved a lot of lives.
Would have shortened the time.
And would have saved people like you and your friend, everyday stoners, people who were horribly psychologically affected by the isolation and other
And
circumstances
Fox, too,
of the
just
lockdown.
mentioned.
And Fox, an aggressive, rapid, early lockdown, I think would have helped with a lot of that. Obviously, this is all, retrospective. We can't do it now, and we have to look at what.
Now we build back, I guess.
Yeah, what can we? We can only do what we can do now, and it's tragic that
Yeah.
so many people were hurt and killed by all these different dynamics of the pandemic.
Yeah, and Fox, I just read what you wrote. I felt exactly the same. Totally the same. And I was one of those people, I got in trouble with some of my friends for being like, what's it called? Not pretentious. The word was high and mighty, I guess, for being like, if you decided to go out to Thanksgiving with your family against what people said to do, this is your fault, when we had the spike in cases.
Right.
And one of my friends was like, that's so unbelievable, blah, blah, blah. It's because she had Thanksgiving dinner with her
Right.
family. Because the shoe fit. And there's no one in the world that wanted to go to Thanksgiving dinner with my family more than me. But like when you can make the choice and it doesn't kill you, you can make it.
Yeah, no, I get that.
And it's hard, and it would have saved a lot of suffering. For a
And
lot
yes,
of people.
everyday stoners, hindsight is 2020, and there were obviously the European countries did it, and other Nordic countries, there's a lot of New Zealand, had a very comprehensive and strict lockdown. So like, absolutely, yeah, it's like we can only do what we can do now. And I think there are many people who had power at the time to make that happen and to not spread misinformation are complicit in all the horrible stuff that has happened as a result. So hindsight is when, we got to move forward. We can't move backward. And I would like to see a lot more people held accountable for the ways that they endangered all of humanity. Pretty much always just to make themselves a little more rich and powerful.
Oh, yeah. On that note, I'm pretty close to beating this guy, and
Cool.
if I do, we can switch to cartoons.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick.
Yeah, go pee.
And I'm gonna refill my fun pipe, and I'll be right back.
Ah! I'm so close. He's so almost gone.
I said we have to move forward. We can't move backward. And I just remembered the thing from The Simpsons with the alien possessed Bill Clinton and Bob Dole.
Oh, yeah.
Like, we must go forwards, not backwards, upwards, not forwards, and always twirling, twirling, twirling towards freedom.
Yeah, Fox, I totally feel that too. I was a very gregarious human before this pandemic, and now I have like 5 friends. Yeah, it's tough. You see how much people actually care about people. And you see how much people actually can care about people, and that was really cool, just knowing that there's some really awesome humans in the world. But yeah, I like was looking at my Instagram yesterday, which I normally don't give a shit about my Instagram, but like I was looking at it yesterday and I was like, I wonder if all my friends who live here still follow me. Almost none of them. Almost none of them. And I was like, literally over the course of the pandemic, when I was being very political and very vocal about how furious I was at all these people not following any sort of guidelines, I lost like most of my social circle. Even close friends just left, and I left a lot of people too. So it's just like, you know, we learn. All right, have a good one, Everyday Stoners. Thanks for hanging.
Thanks for hanging, Everyday Stoners. Good to have you.
School's out, kids hone. Oh boy, kid time. My favorite. Love kids. I have the utmost respect for anyone who raised kids, and extra respect for anyone who raised me, because I was a fucking nightmare. I was the worst kid. Ah! I'm literally so close. If I die now, guys, I'm gonna cry again. Yeah, Fox, it's real disheartening. And I feel like I used to be someone who never said anything. I used to be like, I just want... Can you just, like, let me kill you, please? I used to be someone who never said anything. Oh my god, no, shit. Okay. And then, it just got to a point where I was like, no, I'm gonna say something. This is stupid. There should be no room for this bullshit. I am so close, and I'm like about to die.
I believe in you. Beat that.
Just fucking take your potion! Holy shit, just... Yes! Okay. Goofy, you take care of the fucking Heartless. I'm gonna try and deal with this guy. Can you not follow me? Oh my god, I'm just trying to... Ah! Oh, I'm so annoyed. Okay. Shit. Okay, go. Quick. Yes! Yes! Okay. Come on. Come on. Stop moving. Yes! Finally! Holy fuck!